Let's see if we get anything out of there. There we go. Okay, so I got some audio now. It's far from perfect. At least it's something. All right, so I won't kill it. Now the question is where do I stash the microphone? So hopefully it's not in the way. You know, if I only had a 3D printer, I could make a stand for the microphone. I just don't like the way that I gotta go away. It got a regular mic. I have a regular mic. It's running through USB. And apparently the grounding in the power source, I'm guessing, on the laptop that I'm running this through is not very good because I got nothing but a fair amount of static through this mic when I run this way. I can make a stand for the microphone. I just don't like the way that I gotta go away. It's got a regular mic. Got a regular mic. And apparently the grounding in the power source. That's not terrible. Okay. Laptop. We'll live with it. It is what it is. Okay. So anyway, just to kind of quickly recap my rather frustrating afternoon. At least when it comes to, I started a stream earlier through my Facebook page, you know, just as I'm working, just to talk about things, share some stuff, and, you know, kind of, you know, just talking through the process of what I'm doing, what I'm working on, just to make it a little more interesting and maybe be helpful for people. Started it up, went for an hour, 15 minutes, talked a lot about stuff, got the airbrush out, talked about using that, talked about weathering on blasters, weathering on some of these other things that I'm working on, these comp pads, how to do that, talking about tips on how to do that effectively, and not having to have a ton of tools at your disposal or a ton of skill or whatever, and gave a pretty good, you know, had a good conversation about that, to find out an hour and 15 minutes into things that the audio was crapped out. So, you know, pretty informative video that I did, and it had no audio in there. So it just looked like I was a crazy person talking to myself, working on stuff, and on to no one in particular. So I don't do a whole lot, haven't done a whole lot of live streaming on YouTube. So I figured try it out since the whole Facebook thing was frustrating me. So why the hell not? So we'll do that for a little bit, but working on a bunch of commission projects, trying to get things done. You know, it's an off day from regular job, and prop making and the like has turned into a whole lot of time, really, and doing things for other people, which is awesome. I don't have a lot of free time anymore. I really don't. I want to get to doing more videos, more tutorial things. I got tons of ideas for videos to do, and I just haven't had a whole lot of time to do them in between all the other stuff I got going on. So after watching Blade Runner last night, and I had seen Kay's Blaster on a couple of other things. Joel did a real good video on, a print of Kay's Blaster and putting that together. Kay's gun. You get out of the Star Wars universe occasionally. I did a good video on that. There's some awesome models out there of it. Found one that I thought was pretty nice looking. Over on My Mini Factory. It was free, and I figured, what the hell, I might as well print it. So I just want to show you, and hopefully it'll come across relatively well on the video. That is, not enough light there. There we go, get a good angle on there. That is a completely bone stock CR10, 45 millimeters a second, 35 on the outer perimeter, 0.2 layer height, no supports, no nothing, just a down and dirty quick print of the barrel of that, and it came out really nice. So I'm going to continue on with that one. I'll throw another file on there and get that one going. But Jesus, the CR10 is just really nice. I don't know how I paid $300 for this machine and how they sell it for what they do. I really don't. This is just cheap PLA that I got for $9 a roll on Amazon. It's Fujitec PLA, which is really nice stuff. I didn't expect much from it when I ordered it. For $9 a roll, it's going to print, it's going to do something, but you figure you have issues with maybe some tangles or clogs or, some kind of adhesion issues. But good Lord, this print is really nice. Like, it's to the point where really, if I wanted to, I could print the other parts, put it together, put it on the wall, and it would look fine. It's all going to be monochromatic and whatnot, but it's a nice matte black finish. I really like matte black for in filament compared to something that's very glossy. Glossy things make everything look bad and kind of accentuate, less than perfect layers on top of layers. But the matte really hides things well, I think. And I just like the overall look of it. So I'm probably going to go grab the next file for that. Let that get going. Get that next file quick. Throw it on here and get that printing. I'll work on stuff for, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes or so, and then I'll kill this. Hopefully I get a chance to. Fortunately, I'm not going to be able to go through a lot of the stuff that I went through already because it's done. It's done. I did that painting. I did the basic color airbrushing on the DH17 that I'm working on, and on these compads too. That's done already also. So we'll just get into some of the finishing work on some of these things a little bit, kind of more of a way to test this out as something useful. So I got a lot of videos that I would like to do, but I gotta have time to shoot everything. I gotta have time to edit everything and all that. I don't have a lot of time to do all that sometimes. Maybe if I can get something entertaining when I talk about things, I want to get into something like weathering, like painting, like a little bit more into airbrushing rather than doing like a long format, more produced video, do some of these live things, do those, put those up there so people can go back and look at those. And maybe that would be a good way to address some of that stuff, where it's not scripted, it's not, I don't script anything anyway. It's just it's just all kind of words fall out the mouth, right or wrong, as I'm doing this. So I'm gonna go grab another file to get this going again, because I really want to see the rest of this now, because that's awesome. And I printed it for me too. All right, so we got another file. From the K gun to print, which is cool. And somebody else subscribed too. The process. I don't know if it was from the live or from something else, or it just happened to happen at the same time. But if you're watching, that's Jure, Jure, Jure. Sorry, I'm probably butchering it. My name gets butchered all the time too, my last name at least. So I feel you on that if I'm doing it to you. Sorry. I've been there many, many times, as many of us have been before too. So thanks for subscribing. I appreciate that. All right. So we're going to get the K blaster. K gun is going to continue to print there. I'm going to work on putting these pads together. So maybe I'll go ahead and switch up the camera here a little bit. You can kind of check out that a little bit while see what I need together here. Doing that. How is I can leave out of there and go back and see, because I'm not seeing my chat from the video now. Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I should be able to just watch it and see that too. Sorry, whoever happens to be watching, but you're just kind of part of the learning process when it comes to using Hangouts and live streaming with it on here. But I think once I get it sorted out a little bit more, it'll be a pretty useful tool for doing this stuff. So we'll see. Just trying to see if I can get in and see the chat, because I went upstairs to check on things, and I got the chat window to work fine upstairs. But it would be helpful to see down here. And if anybody's checking it out and goes, "Hey, dummy, here's how you get to it really easy," I'd open here in Hangouts, but I don't see it. But I need to see the messages on YouTube as they come in or don't come in. All right, should go ahead and flip the camera around here. I think wouldn't be a bad idea. So you might be able to see what's going on a little bit better. There we go. Now at least I can see that. So I think what I'll do is go ahead and drop this down and out. So I'm not completely killing processor. So I'm running all this is running through. It's basically running through a laptop, which is and not really set up for graphics. It's not really geared for that. Eventually, I need to just break down and build a new computer for down here that's a little more graphics intensive as I start to learn more about the modeling side of things and doing a little bit more of that. I think that would be very helpful to have something that could kind of stand up to it a little bit better. So let's see if we can move this. Can I move this? I don't suppose that's really necessary. This video is going to be long enough to need to do all of that. So let's keep it simple. Get this figured out, how to use this a little bit more effectively, and then we'll worry later on about the layout of things and all that kind of stuff. So I airbrushed up the gunmetal color on these couple of compads that I'm working on. Earlier failed attempt at a live stream before on Facebook. So I'll put these guys together. If you're checking things out a little bit and want to say hi, say hello, have any questions about anything you see going on or that I'm doing or whatever, let me know what they are. Really, the intention of these are to, are two things. One, to force me to get some stuff on and create some kind of content at the same time that may be useful for somebody out there. So these compads are all 3D printed. 3D printed, they're painted a variety of different ways. They're printed. Main painting's done with an airbrush. Some of the little parts of everything, the buttons and everything, are part of it. This is not the same compad that I'm working on right now, but that is a different variant of it. That's one for an ATST driver that I did. Put that one together and did some modeling and alterations to the original model and played around with. It took me forever to make some of the changes on there because I'm just not that proficient with that yet, but I'm learning. It's all part of the process. I can make one-off stuff, starting from nothing and do that, a bunch of different ways, but for this kind of stuff that I'm doing and people are ordering and helping people make parts of their costumes for 501st and Rebel Legion or whatever, there's some other things they do too. It's nice to be able to replicate things, multiple things, and eventually for some of these things, if they're popular enough, people like them enough, that whatever, and it gets to be too time intensive to get out the mold making supplies and make molds and kick them out that way a little bit faster. But I got my printers and It doesn't take me that long to print these, and I'm not selling hundreds of these in a month or anything. So it's a couple here and there. So I don't really need to scale things up quite to that level at this point. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Just cleaning up. Just use when I'm painting them, my CA the CA glue to glue these guys onto basically a little parts tree just on a couple pencils to keep them in place and make it easier to paint. So when I get done with that, glue them on. Just got to hit the backside click with the Dremel to take that residual paint off of there so they lay down nice and flush. All right, those are all good to go. Okay, but it's been an interesting day, and I tried talking about it earlier, and I may have talked about it. I don't think I talked about it on here yet because that audio is just getting this going. But got an email today, a month ago or so. C2E2 is a Chicago um, comic and entertainment expo that happens in Chicago every year in the spring. An application to do a panel. I've done panels before, been part of panels before there in regards to the 501st and costuming as part of that group. But I thought this year I would do something, give it a shot, put an application to do a panel 3D printing as it relates to costuming fandom and creation of things and for a number of different things. It's costuming, making replica props, tabletop gaming. There's lots of other applications, obviously, of 3D printing. So I wanted to do something about that. I submitted, and I'll be doing something on that format thing, which is fine. I could do a whole hour without a problem. I spend a lot of time doing for work, doing classes and training classes and that kind of thing, and really enjoy that. And enjoy and do giveaways and question and answer things. I guess I'm starting a little bit smaller on this one, which is cool. Still, I get an opportunity to go and share some information about how fantastic and useful they are, and for a lot of different things that you can do. If you're costuming, if you're doing one-off costumes, especially on things that are fairly popular, Star Wars costumes, um, tons of different things, Lord of the Rings stuff. Lord of the Rings. It could be GI Joe stuff. It could be a lot of different things. Blade Runner, 2049, the original. There's models out there for all kinds of different stuff. We're printing an entire short trooper armor from Star Wars. The entire thing's 3D printed. My cost to create a costume is the cost of just obviously takes time, but you can combine as a tool with the rest of the things, in your workshop, in your space, to make your projects. Printing is a fantastic tool for creating one-of-a-kind things or one-off projects. It's really what it's great at. You can use it to replicate things multiple times, and it certainly works for that. It's not the fastest way to do things. It's better to make something and create a mold of it and go that route for repeated replication of things. That's an easier route to go and a quicker route. Really, when it comes down to it, is to do it that way. But printing really is a fantastic tool to have in your toolbox. And the whole idea of the talk that I wanted to do and the panel that I pitched was to let people know in the community, this is not that expensive to get into. This machine here that allows me to print, things up to 400 millimeters high, and to 300 deep. With a build volume like that, I could print an entire helmet at once. I could print an entire piece of thigh armor or shin armor in one shot. And the machine costs $300. Helmet is inexpensive, and there's tons of models out there, available for nothing. There is, and if you're somebody who has 3D modeling experience, well, there's no cap on the limit of what you can do with this stuff. If you could model it, there's not too much that you could model that you could not turn around and go ahead and print. So if you want to do a completely obscure comic book character, or something from a movie that, I don't know, a little bit more of an obscure movie that I watched when I was growing up, the Masters of the Universe movie, the He-Man movie. If you want to do a character from that, you want to do Man-at-Arms from that, you want to do parts of his armor and his helmet and stuff. There's probably not a whole lot of models I can't imagine out there of a character like that, but I'm sure a Google search or a search in a couple places might turn one up. But if you've got modeling skills and you can do that, then you can put together a model and print out whatever you absolutely could think of. So that's what the panel or talk, or I think that should be part of their live stream. They do live stream segments there in 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever, a half hour, whatever they are, where you get to talk about those things. So I get a chance to go out there, on the stage there, and talk about printing and the utility of it for costuming and how awesome it is. It's pretty cool. And there's side bonuses of that is I get to go to the con and I'll get a speaker badge for it or whatever, so I don't think I have to pay to go, which is cool. So I get at least one day there for free. But I get to the best part of going to the cons really. There's two things. The fact that you get to see people that you don't see all the time, which is probably the best part of it. And obviously, you get to see a lot of really awesome stuff, and you can see things that people have put a lot of time and effort into making. But the other thing of it is you get to learn a lot. There's opportunities to learn a lot. When you see somebody that has something, and you're just like, damn, that's really cool. and you get a chance to talk to people and go ask them about it. Tell them what you think about what they've done, and then you get to find out about their process, and you can ask people about it. How did you do this? And how did you get something to look like? Where did you get the idea from this? Or all those kinds of things, and you get to talk about them and share info. Just gluing these parts together now. For this comp pad, this pair of them rather. I have a lot of fun making this stuff too. To things, and the amount of different things that I'm making continues to grow all the time. As over time, people ask me, "Hey, can you do this?" Or they'll be interested in something I have and say, "Hey, do you have this?" Or "Could you do this?" Or "Would you be able to help me out with this?" And a lot of these other things that I have available and that I sell and people is stuff that all started out with somebody asking me, "Hey, can you do this?" And I start looking at it, I'm playing around and doing research on things, start making some of this stuff that way. So we're just putting parts together on this. So we've got the buttons on there now. Buttons were painted previously. The comp pad I painted earlier today. And now we're going to go back in and put in, I tweak things a little bit. If you were to look at these comp pads, and I've looked at original ones and photos of original ones, I've seen some of the original ones as part of some of the museum tours that have happened over the years. A lot of this stuff, when you get up to it, and really look at it, looks like crap. A lot of these costume parts from the original trilogy, unless it was a hero character or somebody who's front and center right in front of the camera, some of the stuff is just, it doesn't have to be that great looking. So for something like a TIE fighter pilot, who you never see in a close-up, you see him running away, running past camera quickly. You see him in quick shots at the side of, a TIE fighter or these other background characters, basically, that you don't see for very long. And then you start looking at this stuff and you go, wow, this looks like garbage. And it doesn't need to look great. You're making a movie and you're making costumes for 15 different costumes that are all essentially background players in it. Stuff doesn't have to look perfect, so you do it as quickly as you can. You back form it like a lot of the stuff for the original trilogy was done. And when you look at it, it looks just done. Even a lot of stuff. We took a trip to Disney in April last year and spent some time in Hollywood Studios, obviously, in the lunch bay and looking around at. I was particularly looking at two things there: the Shore Trooper costumes, since I've been working on one of those, and the Imperial costume that Jin was wearing in Rogue One, because I wanted to look at the new belt boxes on that and then just look at that costume, because they're different, obviously, from the original trilogy one, because eventually I'll get around to making a Rogue One version of that for those that have TIE pilots or whatever from Rogue One. I want some for that because they are different than the original trilogy ones. And I looked at the Shore Trooper and looking at the blaster, and there's multiple versions on a lot of things. The blasters, the weapons, they have different versions. You have the helmets, the armor. They have versions of things, which are basically things that can be used and abused. They're for backgrounds. Basically characters that are not in the immediate forefront, in close up, in tight shots, that are not main characters. And those things are, less than perfect. They don't have to be that great looking because they just don't get the screen time to warrant spending that much time, effort, and at the end of the day, money to make them look that great. That Lucasfilm and Disney are definitely not short on money, but they're not going to just throw it away on anything in the production of these movies. So I looked at the Shore Trooper. I was looking because I really wanted to see. I was hoping that the Shore Trooper that they had would have a hero, the blaster, the one that's really nice. It has the windows on it cut out with lighting effects, the LEDs on there, and all that stuff. I was hoping they would have one of those to look at. What they had was a stunt version. Stunt version of that blaster, like many others, was just a rubber, a quickly cast rubber or resin version or foam version or whatever it was exactly. After I saw what it was, version of those weapons that's just used for background. Stormtrooper runs through the background and gets shot up. He doesn't need to have a gorgeous blaster that somebody spends a day on or 2 days on, or working over the course of a week on. It's just a quickly, they make a beautiful, hero version of things, and you make a mold of it, and you slap whatever material's cheap in there that'll make it look good, that makes it safe for the actors and all that stuff. That's how you go about it. So that one was a stunt one, and then started looking at it, got up close to it, and took some pictures of it. It is, every seam line on it visible when you get up close to it. You can see exactly how it was put together, how it was molded. There's still flashing on the edges of it where it wasn't cleaned up. It made to be very pretty looking and just finished up real nice. So you start to realize that a lot of this stuff just doesn't look like you would imagine it to when you see it close up. So getting back to what brought me on that kind of sidestep into things that people might not be interested in. When I started making these, they wanted to make something that looked a little bit idealized, that looked a little bit nicer, but still fit in. Something up close, like a lot of people will do when you're wearing these costumes. They walk up to you and they want to check everything out. It's got to look cool, up close. You can't just stand the 5-foot eyeball test, which is kind of the standard by which everything is looked at. Okay, stuff, we'll look at it up close. Does it look good? Yeah, it looks pretty good. Take a few steps back, and what does it look like now? Okay, it looks fine there. All right, good, done. So, according to Legion standards for the 501st, with these comp pads, there's different tiers to approval and level of accuracy and all that kind of stuff. And then as you get up into the higher levels of accuracy, things like lights on these are allowed because it wasn't how they were in the films. and other things. So one of the things I added on these was these clear red transparent windows up here in it, which is basically going to be over a black jumpsuit. It looks like there's red buttons set on there. But then it gives somebody the ability, if they wanted to add lights to the backside, they can certainly do that. And I think it just gives a little bit more, more depth to things. It gives it a little bit more interest. All this stuff is done really in a variety of different ways. I paint these things a couple different ways. Prep work wise, when it comes to print ready to paint, I use rattle can spray paint, for filler primer out of a spray can. And then to do the majority of the painting, it's all done with the airbrush. But I like doing these last two red buttons on here with the brush, because with the way that I weather things, you can't tell when it's done that it's painted with the brush. What I really should do is just go back into the model and make these buttons a separate part. So that they can be printed on a parts tree along with other red buttons that are on these guys. But modeling is not my greatest friend because I'm not terribly proficient with it yet. And I think even calling myself close to being terribly proficient is not even a fair statement. So real quick with the brush, paint the buttons, get the red on there. And the other great part about weathering things when you're painting is that it allows you the opportunity to hide your sins and hide your screw-ups, and that part where you go, oh shit, that looks terrible. When you're painting, you know you're weathering something, you know you have that out of, well, I can fix that later. Sometimes imperfections in them when you're printing them, and it might be something that's going to be really a pain to sand out of there, go away and all that, that you can hide it with your weathering. And suddenly that, bar on the surface of the object that you've made, that you've printed, a gash piece. You can paint it up to make it look like on a blaster, it's somewhere where it took a hit one time, or where that weapon was dropped and dented or damaged in some way, shape, or form. And you could hide that stuff. I'm not doing anything crazy with painting. those are all painted. Let them dry for a couple minutes. Come back, weather this really quick. And I think that's going to be about the time I have for today to spend doing this. But you see with this, if it comes up with that white button there, if it comes up okay on camera, you can see the spray painting didn't come out perfect on this. Spots where you can still see some of the primer a little bit over there where it got a little bit thin and it was a little bit cold outside. The paint didn't cooperate so well. But go back over and weather on top of that, it looks intentional. It looks like part of the process of use of these things. Because to me, this is cool. It looks pretty cool like that. But it really has no life. It has no depth to it. It has no character. It really doesn't. So I'm going to go back in and do weathering on things. That's when we really bring out the character of the item that you made. Not just the L44. The DL44 is an all black with a silver end on there. Would be pretty.
Can I go to auditors?
Can, but the dishwasher can.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, do that. I think you heard out. Put away the stuff. So that here, put away. With the bag and all that crap on the dogs out too.
Okay.
Get that done and then you can go. But yeah, you know this unweathered, untouched, just with raw basic paint wouldn't look right. It just wouldn't look right. It would look weird. So take this and spend some time on getting a good finish on the flash suppressor on the end of the barrel here, and get some brass painting effects on here to give some accents on the scope, and then weather those to make those look like the brass is tarnished, is aged, and then to go back in here and have parts on plaster. Anything that's painted and it's metal is going to wear away over time. It's going to get weathered. The edges are going to start to paint's going to get rubbed away and worn away. You're going to have spots of metal that shows through. You're going to have a bit of the metal that is corroded. You're going to have little bits of rust in there. Just other things that give interest to it. This is not a piece that I spent forever on weathering. I think I'll actually probably do a whole video on just the finishing of one of these things, because I think it's a really, it's a really well-known item. It's a very popular replica item and something that people like to have in their collections. And a project that a lot of people I think want to do too. And I'm not the definitive expert on the L44 by any means. There's plenty of people that are, much more well-versed in the history of it, look of it, all those things. And you can find them all on, a lot of fantastic people on the RPF that can get you all that information that you might need to know. But, I know enough to be dangerous with that. So, I'll give it another minute here for this paint to dry up a little bit more before I hit it with the weathering. And then I'm going to show you up close on camera what that looks like and what that involves, and really how easy it is. Just do it now because I'm running out of time here. All right, so to do the weathering part of things, it's very simple. There's a lot of different ways to do it. And, the process is essentially the same with whatever you're weathering and the colors that you're using. But we're trying to add some age to that. So it depends on where something's going to be used, the things it might be exposed to over the process of its life, and how it would become to be aged and how it would look like when it's aged. But for something that's metal, one of the simplest ways to do it, back and hit it with black. Something that's really thinned out. So all you need is the tiniest amount of black, thinned with, it could either be with airbrush thinner if you have that, then with alcohol, depending on the paint that's underneath it, then with glass cleaner. If you've got glass cleaner that's, ideally you'd want to use a glass cleaner that's clear to do it, but you could use the blue stuff too and you'd still get away with it, it'd be fine, but the idea is you just want to thin the paint out. So all we're going to do to weather this up is very simple. Get your brush, get your thinned out paint, and you're just going to go ahead and brush that on all these metal parts here. Take some of that away so that we're leaving some of that thinned out paint in the cracks of everything.
The dishes are dirty. So I can put the stuff away that's already there.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go make it there.
All right. Sounds good. See you soon, mate. All right. So the rest of it, same thing. Get your brush. Get that thinned out paint on there. Go over. Brush it on. Come back with paper towel or whatever, and just blot it back off again. Blot it back off. Leave it in those corners. Brush it off on the spots where. The easiest way to think of it is go ahead and brush it off in places where things would make contact with it. As part of its, as a part of the life of that item. Where is somebody going to brush up against this? Where when you're wearing this compound on your sleeve, you're a pilot, you're full armor, and you have this on, where is this going to bang into? What are you going to hit into this? Where, when you get dirty doing something, or in an environment, what stuff is going to stay on there? Where is it going to stay and where is it going to gather? Where is it going to cool up when you get muddy water on yourself? Dirt in there, where is it going to catch in there? As you do that, and it's just, there's not a whole lot of thought involved in it besides just thinking about where you should put it, or where it's heavier. It's just a process. You put some on there, you blot it off, you put a little more on there, you blot it off, and then as you layer that for a little bit, you get something that has some age to it now. So just a quick side by side with one that's not done. One here is weathered, this one is not. So hopefully that shows up okay there so you can see that. So literally how long will that take? 2 to 3 minutes to do that? Now it's weathered, aged. It looks like fencing. This looks like somebody just got out of the academy and they're ready to step into things for the first time. That guy's been there, done that, been through some things. I'm gonna weather this other one up real quick. Slap that paint on there. Be careful on things with lighter colors, obviously. And the white, I don't want to slop a ton on there and leave it on there because it's going to stain that up faster than anything else. But on this other stuff, in between these guys, leave that on there for a minute so that stuff can kind of work its way into those cracks around everything. That's all this is. There's no big secret to it. There's no magical weathering process or whatever. It's pretty simple. Now there's much different ways to do that, to get different looks. The Shore Trooper armor that I'm working on is something that's going to be really heavily weathered, and a lot of that's going to be done mechanically. I'm going to use files and sandpaper and probably even a handheld band sander, a belt sander, a small little narrow one. Use that, which is what I actually use in the production suits, to gouge that armor up, to take those corners apart and beat them up, make those things look like they've been in use. That's what really makes this stuff interesting. So there we go. That one's done, ready to go too. All right, I'm going to get back to doing some work in here. Working home today because I'm home. And get some stuff done upstairs. Get the house cleaned up and all that good stuff. Make sure my 4-year-old isn't destroying everything now that my daughter left over to a friend's house. So, yeah, that's John. Hopefully this was helpful. I'll do some more of these things, a little bit more of a live stream, not so much just for the interaction as it's going on, because there's not a ton of people watching initially. But I'll put them up to replay it, have things that are topical like this with weathering, basic weathering and stuff, so that people can go and find them and check them out. So hopefully it was helpful. That's it. I'll get back to doing all my other good stuff I got to get done. Time. If you like the video, subscribe. Throw a comment down below. I'm pretty good about responding to those and answering questions too. So, John, thanks. Appreciate the time today. Have a good day. Keep making stuff. All right. Bye.